Hey guys, it's Jake from Wani, and I am here with Ernie C from Body Count. Ernie, man, how you going?
I'm doing good today. How you doing there?
Yeah, I'm doing really good, man. I'm doing really good. So we got a lot of content to cover today, so I'm just going to dive straight into it. It has basically almost ticked over 25 years to the day that Body Count released their self-titled debut album. Yet we're coming up now to the release of Bloodlust, and it seems like the message is just a more mature version of that same message from many, many years ago. Firstly, when starting out, did you ever think that Body Count would be releasing another album 25 years later?
You know, that's really funny because 25 years was like beginning of was last week. I think the exact date was the 10th. But you know, no, when we started the band, we wanted to be like a punk band. We wanted to be like the Ramones. We wanted to release a record every 6 months and just throw them out there. And then you know, after the success of the first record, everything just really, instead of speeding up, it slowed down. So that's why we only had so many records over this period of time. But yeah, the message is still the same. The message has gotten louder now. But right now we talk more about economics. More so than you know, the first record dealt with just cop killer, was just all in your face. But this record, it's the same issues going on here, you know. But now we like No Lives Matter deals with the economics of what it is to for poor people in general. So we're still holding the torch.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good lead into the next question that I was going to ask, because I feel like this album offers a very, I guess, clear and honest social commentary on the volatility that there is in the world today and that divide between rich and poor. And it's touched on tracks, as you said, with No Lives Matter, but also in different tracks like This Is Why We Ride, which yet again discusses revenge on the streets. But I also think if you dig a little bit below the surface, it sort of offers a pretty good social commentary on the volatility and that in our, I guess, social media interactions or online interactions between people. So what's your take on that?
Well, that's exactly it. On this record, we tried we tried to get you inside of the head of a gangbanger, why he does a drive-by. But there's a lyric in that song that goes, we sell dope. They remove hope, then we sell dope. You know, so there's a lot of things going on that gets you to that point. You know, it's a more mature look at everything that we said on 25 years ago. Just a more mature look on it. You know, we're angry with a lot of different people. We're rubbing everyone the wrong way on this record. So nobody knows who we're really upset with. We're upset with a lot of different people, but we just try to vent it the best we can. And in music has always been a way to get things out. You go back to Hendrix and Dylan, and everyone does that. But of the last decade, there haven't been bands that really have that kind of awareness that say anything. It's like the world is falling apart, and people are writing about the most ridiculous things you can hear about. So when we wrote this record, we started writing it the summer of last year. This country, America, was in a turmoil. So that was the right record we just wrote the right record for right now, and this is the way we felt about it.
Yeah, and that, look, yet again, man, that's another sort of really good segue into the next couple of questions that I've got, because I guess, like, lyrically going through it, as you did say, you tried to put it in the perspective of gangbangers and that sort of thing, but I found that for me, definitely while listening to it, the album took a lot of major issues and events that are, I guess, sort of commonplace in a lot of different areas in the world and breaks them down into a way that not only makes them accessible to most listeners, but also it puts them in a way that most listeners will be able to identify with. So in saying that, this is probably one of the most honest records that has been released in a very long time, as you sort of said. But while Body Count is, I guess, normally known for releasing honest albums, this one feels like it is just that bit more honest. So given the subject matter on the album, and I guess the social and political climates at the time of writing, as you sort of mentioned, how difficult was it to write the album?
No, this record was one of of the easiest records to write. I said to Ice, I said, every 25 years, we've managed to get everything exactly right. The first record we did was exactly right. Then we did some other ones that were, hit and miss, but this record is exactly right. It was easy to write, after we did Manslaughter, the band took 8 years off before we did Manslaughter. We had to grieve over lost members and things like that. So we took 8 years off, and then we came back and played. We did Manslaughter, 3 years ago, and we went out and played, and people really, still liked the band. So, we're doing this record kind of close to the other record. I don't think it's close, but people used to do records every year, but now they do them, 5, 7 years apart, whatever they do now. But we got to a point where we were sitting around. We're like, it feels right. We did one record with Sumerian that was Manslaughter, and we didn't have a record company and things like that. And we did this record because we wanted to do this record. There's a lot of bands now that have these contracts, and every so many years they got to go in, they got to write a record, whether they want to or not. Whether the guitar player might want to be somewhere else. We wanted to do this record. That's why this record is so honest, because we wanted to do it. We weren't forced to do this record. We didn't have to write a record. We just thought that the social and political climate of the world just dictated us to do a record at this point. So that's why this record is so honest. That's why it's so in your face. That's why it feels the way it feels. If you listen to it from beginning to end, it takes you on a journey. And music should do that. Music should make you get an emotion out of it. You can't listen to something and say, "Oh, that was okay." This record, you listen to it and you're like, "Whoa!" You feel a certain way about this record. And, that's why I think it's one of our best, if not the best record we've done.
Yeah, and you're 100% right there in that, as you said, it does make you feel a certain way, and I definitely found that while listening through it, especially from start to end. It does tell a story, and it does give you a pretty good insight, and it does take you on that journey, so that's good, and it's an important message that you guys are sending with it as well, so...
This record, young people now don't know what sequenced is, because they buy singles. This record was sequenced. We sat down and listened to each song and see how this song flows into that song. We went through different combinations of just sitting and listening and see what ride it takes you on. If it takes you on the correct ride musically from beginning to end. You can listen to individual songs, but when you listen to this record, it's designed to put on at the beginning. You hear, Dave Mustaine come on, and he starts talking about Civil War, and it takes you through a ride. So it's sequenced to get that emotion, to feel, to feel a certain way when you listen to the whole record as a record. That's why we're out pushing the record. We're really pushing this record because we believe it has to be bought as a record or played as a record, not as single.
Going on now to talk about the first track that was released, No Lives Matter, which caused quite a bit of a stir when it was initially released. It sort of sent a few waves, and I guess that's due to the quite honest nature of the actual content in the song. I sort of feel that is in particular related to the way that it's sort of a different light that you guys shine on that particular issue, the Black Lives Matter issue, which was different from the way that especially us around the other side of the world saw it, but it's one that when you actually break it down, it makes a lot of sense. So a recurring theme in the song and also the album overall is the government style of the bait and switch, which is being used to divide us in order to maintain that control. But given the current political climate in America and the outcome of the recent election, do you feel like the words to this song are even more important now than when they were written?
Well, we kind of felt that, we would have the president we have now, just because the way the climate of the country felt. It just felt like it was going in the wrong direction. So when he got elected, it wasn't a big surprise because everything was going the wrong direction, with him running for office. So he brought up a lot of undercurrent. It came up, bubbling up to the top. We had Obama for 8 years, and everyone got kind of comfortable. He was a good president, but we got a little comfortable, and we didn't actually notice all the underlying things that were going on. But Trump got in here in 6 weeks. I mean, it seems like he's been president for a long time. It's been 6 weeks, and he kind of tipped over the table, and kind of everyone's kind of like, looking around saying what's going on. But we felt it all along, you know what I mean? So, it's like 25 years ago, we did a warning. We did Cop Killer as a warning. So now, 25 years later, it's still going on. Now, we're saying on this record, watch out. There's, Civil War and songs like that. It's kind of warnings of what we feel, because being a musician, you get the opportunity to travel to different places and, travel around the world. We've gone around the world over the last 2 years, with 25 on that. And we felt that America, something was happening in it that's not exactly right. I mean, it's happening in a lot of different places now, from France to Italy to, even Sweden. A lot of things are happening.
Yeah, and it's definitely a good sort of, view on the current climate, because that's something that is, like, as I said, it's sort of, you might have had that sort of inclination when you were writing it, but I guess now that it's actually happened, it's sort of that little bit more important, I feel.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just good to say it. These records are a way of venting. Just for everyone to vent and just kind of look at it. It's we need for people to get out and about and get out and protest and even vote, but do it in a positive way and have a direction. You can't just say I don't like the president. I mean, you got to get out and vote and find something better, because this last election here in America, we didn't really have a good choice. That's why he won, because there's no good choices anymore. People don't want to be in public office. Good people. Every once in a while you get a good people in it. Obama was a good man. I always say, whether you liked him as a president or not, he was a good man. He had good values. Right now we've lost all our values. We have someone that's lying. He's on television right now lying. And he's just lying, and it's a lie. But there's still 40% of people who follow a person that lies. And they know it's a lie. They're not worried about it. They're worried about getting a job and things like that are more important. That's more important than morals. And morals help out in a lot of different ways,
Yeah. So aside from the lyrics on the album, I sort of feel like the other great strength from it is the music. And in saying that, I mean that Body Count's always offered tracks which are heavy, but not too heavy that the casual or passing by listener can't listen to them as well. Is that something that the band sort of strives for?
Well, this band is the best. We've lost 3 members over the years. This combination of people is the best combination I've had in 25 years, except for the original band. This is the best combination of people as musicians, and we're also good friends. That helps out a lot, and we're able to play more than the other bands, because the other bands didn't like me or they didn't like someone else. But like Ice lives in New York and the band is in Los Angeles. We rehearse 3 times a week, so the band is technically better than any band I've had over the last 20 years or so. So that helps out a lot, because this record sounds really consistently good. We play well on this record. I'm happy with the way it came out, the playing, the guitar, the overall tone of the whole record.
Yeah, and it definitely shines through. It does. The tone is perfect the whole way through, so it's definitely good to hear that. So you do have a few guest appearances on the album, including Randy Blythe, Dave Mustaine, and Max Cavalera. And I know that Ice has said in a couple of interviews that the participation from these particular artists is sort of like their way of signing off on your music to their fans, and also vice versa, your way of signing off on theirs. So given that you guys have already had major compliments provided from these artists, and the one that comes to mind is Dave Mustaine tweeting that this was by far his favourite guest appearance, how important are collaborations such as these?
Yeah. Well, we've known Dave since 1988. Back in the day, before Body Count, Ice and I were going to be on a Megadeth record. It just never happened. So then they hooked up. They hooked up on Twitter. Where you saw that tweet, and they hooked up, and we sent Dave a track, and he sent it back. He wrote the lyrics, and he sent it back with a guitar solo. So we were just honored, And as far as Max goes, Max was. here in Arizona where we did the record. Max was at a show that we did. And then the next day, we told him we're doing a record. So Max comes down, and he brought a track. So we played the track, and he sang on it. So, it was just real simple. And, and Randy's my friend. I quit drinking years ago. And if you read his book, he quit drinking also. So we talk about that. So I was talking to him one day on the phone. I said, Randy, would you like to be on our record? He was like, sure, send over a track. So what's so cool about having those three people? When we started this record, we had no idea that we were going to have them on the record. There wasn't no plan. There was no record company involvement, no manager involvement, no lawyers. It was just us saying, we dig you. Would you be honored? I would be honored if you're on our track. And everyone was like, cool. It was so simple. It was just like, it felt so natural. Like this whole record, everything just went really smooth. There was no bumps in the road. It was just like send them a track, you get it back, and you send out a track, and it comes back with not just Dave on it, with Dave playing guitar on it, which makes it even better. So
yeah,
so it was very cool.
Yeah, and those appearances definitely do stand out, and I think they enhance all the tracks that they're on. So that's obviously a really good sign.
And they have the right tracks for them. It's like we sent them tracks. We went through every track to see who would be best on each track, and they wrote their parts. They wrote their own parts, and we're just like, okay, you can go here and go there, and everything was just so right. Everyone doesn't sound like they're forced to be on a track, like when you hear pop songs or just collaborations that don't make no sense. These people that we have on this record, they're right for that track that they're on.
Yeah, definitely. Ernie, man, thanks for your time. That's all we've got time for today, but really appreciate you taking the time out of the day to come and have a chat with us. And, looking forward...
It was good because, this record is something we really, really believe in, and I think it's worth any minute I can put into it. Every minute I can put into it. This is one of our best.
Yeah, it definitely is. I certainly feel like it's one of your best, and I actually can't wait for the release date because I think that a lot of fans are actually going to jump on board, and a lot of people that might not necessarily have heard of you guys before. It's definitely a great complete package in terms of a record, and it's one that I think is going to do really well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Ernie, thanks so much for your time today, man.
Cool, no problem.